Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this demonstration of Concorde's nose droop. This Concorde is owned by Duxford Aviation Society, a partner of the Imperial War Museum, who own all of the airliners here at Duxford. This Concorde is a very special one. There were two pre-production Concordes, one owned by the British government, that's this one, and one owned by the French government, that did 5 years of flight testing at the start of the 1970s. So this actual plane is over 50 years old, but it still looks pretty good. We'll talk a bit about some of the flight testing later, but what we're going to do today, our pilots, so we've got Graham in the left-hand seat, Mel in the right-hand seat, and Alan is the flight engineer. They're going to take us from London to New York, which was Concorde's, or British Airways Concorde's most common flight. And what we'll do during that flight is demonstrate why the nose has to move so many different ways. So, they're on board, they're ready to go, they've done their pre-flight checks, they've taken on 90 tons of fuel, 100 passengers, and then they're ready to start the engine. So the first thing they're going to do is switch on the anti-collision lights, they're little red lights that come on where the wings join the fuselage, and put on the navigation lights. Concorde, unlike most modern airliners, couldn't start itself, so it started on the stand. Two of the engines are started, and then it's pushed back, and it can start its other two engines. So they're ready to taxi, but they can't see where they're going because of that long, sleek nose in front of them. So to taxi, they're first going to put down the heat shield visor. And with that down, they can see a bit better, but the nose is still obscuring the yellow taxi line that they need to pull out to the runway. So to taxi out, they lower the nose to 5 degrees. So like that, they can taxi out towards the runway. Now before going on the runway, they're going to put on their landing lights. Because it's a very sleek design, the lights are recessed. You can probably see them near the nose wheel motoring down, and they light up when they're fully down. They put the taxi lights on the side of the cockpit, so they're very visible to the air traffic control and other planes, and like that they're cleared to go on the runway. Now, virtually every other airliner, you carefully calculate the throttle settings depending on the weather, the weight and so on. Concorde, you just put all 4 throttles to maximum. When you hit 70 miles an hour, the reheats kick in on the back of the engine, or the afterburners as they're sometimes called. You see flames come out the back, and it accelerates down the runway to nearly 250 miles an hour. So faster than a Formula 1 car, 100 miles an hour or so faster than any other plane, and away it climbs. So as we're climbing away, we're going to put our lights off, and we will also start to get our little bird a bit more streamlined. So the nose is going to come up now to 0 degrees. And the heat shield visor will come back up. Now we continue out towards the Bristol Channel. We can't quite exceed the speed of sound because of sonic booms, but once we're outside of the land, we will put the reheats back on, and we climb way up again. At 1.7 times the speed of sound, it doesn't need the reheats anymore. They turn those off, and it cruises up to, in this case, 2.2 times the speed of sound. And it's going to fly across the Atlantic at 63,000 feet, so that's 20,000 or so feet above your Boeings and Airbuses, and of course a lot faster. This Concorde is the fastest ever one because it was, in effect, a test aircraft. It flew at 1,450 miles an hour. It's much faster than a rifle bullet, but they didn't fly the airline ones that fast because what they found is at that speed the metal of the plane gets so hot it was going to have a short life. So the airline ones fly 100 miles an hour slower, 1,350 miles an hour. So not only is it the fastest plane, it's also the record holder for UK to America against a headwind of 2 hours and 56 minutes to get there. So the cruising across the Atlantic, 150 miles from the coast, we have to start slowing down, otherwise they get a sonic boom. It takes 100 miles to slow down, and 50 miles from the coast we're just about subsonic rather, and we cruise in towards JFK, the New York airport, and we're starting to approach, so we want to find out where we're going. We're going to put the visor down again. And we put the nose down to 5 degrees, but even with the nose like that, we're not going to be able to see where we're going because Concorde has just one wing. If you look at the Lancaster here, it's got 2 wings, a front wing and a back wing. I know that's not a technical explanation, and it's got flaps. Concorde doesn't have flaps, so to slow down, it holds its head high, and it looks like a duck or a swan coming into land, which is great, but now you definitely can't see where you're going. So to land, the nose needs to go down lower so the pilots can see the runway. And this Concorde has the droopiest nose of all of them. It goes down to 17.5 degrees. And that worked well, they can see the runway to land. But when British Airways and Air France pilots started practicing on this plane, they didn't like it because the nose has got completely out of sight and they lack a reference point. So the airline ones, the nose was re-engineered, and they eventually settled on 12.5 degrees, which our crew can demonstrate now. So if you saw a British Airways or Air France Concorde coming to land, this is what it's looked like. But since we've got the droopiest nose, we're going to put our nose back down to 17.5 degrees to land. And because we're coming to land, we're going to put the landing lights back on and the taxi lights. So you'll see the landing lights come down again, the taxi lights. And like that we can land, and we land much faster than any other airliners, about 60 miles an hour faster, but we've got carbon fibre brakes that are electrically fanned to keep them cool, and so we can actually stop faster than the others, slow down to taxi speed, and we're ready to taxi off the runway. So we're going to put the nose back to the taxiing position of 5 degrees. And like that, we're going to taxi off the runway up to the terminal building and the jetway connects. And so our passengers who paid a heck of a lot of money to fly on this plane can see her in her most aerodynamic form. We're going to put the nose back up to 0 degrees. And then that heat shield visor will go back up again. The plane used to get so hot that it grew about 10 inches expansion during the flight, and the heat shield visor was necessary. So that's it. The crew could turn the lights off, please, and welcome to New York, everybody. Thank you.